Welcome to Emotions and Eating with Nicola-beer. Nicola controlled her feelings using food for 25 years, so she knows how draining it is to be constantly thinking about or acting out with food. Thankfully, having made an amazing breakthrough in her recovery, her mission became about helping others escape the unsatisfying cycle of frustration and self-medication with food. Nicola is determined to help you find your inner strength so you can be healthy, gain confidence, feel great, and be at peace with yourself and food.
Hello, I hope you're well wherever you are and having a great day. And if you're not having a great day, then I hope that by the end of listening to this episode, you're going to feel much better. Today I'm going to be talking about a really important topic, binge eating. Binge eating is actually an eating disorder, which I was shocked at. It's actually diagnosed in the US as an eating disorder. And in the US, they estimate 2.8 million people are suffering. When I first read that statistic, I thought, okay. But later, it really sunk in. 2.8 million people have this so-called eating disorder. And as I've told you in other episodes, I don't really like the name eating disorder, but I will use it from time to time. And binge eating is really, really vast. Now, I knew binge eating was big because, obviously, I'm helping countless men and women to break free from binge eating. But I didn't realise it was actually 2.8 million. It's really scary when you think about it. I used to binge all the time. And it was such a painful experience. I'll share my experience with you really briefly. See if this is true for you if you are a binge eater. I used to wake up in the morning feeling guilty, feeling annoyed, feeling tired because my poor body had been processing the huge quantity of food I've been stuffing down. And I would feel exhausted, like I'd had no sleep. And then I would say to myself, I am not going to eat that again. I am not going to eat that much tonight. Tonight I'm just going to have a small meal and it's going to be healthy and I'm going to stop eating at 8 p.m. in the evening and then I'm just going to go to sleep and I'm definitely not going to overeat. And then what would happen is I would convince myself throughout the day, make excuses of why I felt like today is not the right day to stop. So I say to myself, well, I've got to use up some food. That's one excuse. Or I'd say that I've worked really hard today. I deserve a reward. I deserve a treat. Or I'm feeling emotional, hormonal. Like I literally make up any excuse and then I would be able to be back on it. Whether it was celebrating, whether it was commiserating, whether I was stressed, whether I was angry, whether I was tired. And it was just a really, really vicious cycle. Perhaps you can relate to that. But that was my binge eating. A lot of people with binge eating spend years of their life with guilt, fear, shame and regret. And if this is true for you, you can change it. And I want you to know that you really can break free from the cycle. It really made me think also, reflecting on this, about the mind-body connection in relation to binge eating disorders and how it can help. So let me explain what binge eating is. Binge eating involves regularly eating large quantities of food at one time until you feel full or so guilty you can't stop. Another definition that I found said that it's eating a vast amount of food within 2 hours. It's often associated with being overweight and obese, but it's not always the case. In fact, in my personal experience of binge eating, I was actually fairly slim, and no one would have known. Because with my binge eating, what I used to do is I used to starve myself all day and then eat everything all night. And then sometimes I would eat so much, or I'd feel so guilty, I would make myself sick. So to the outsider, I probably didn't look like someone who was a binge eater. Probably didn't look like someone who had a problem with compulsive eating and binge eating. But I did. Of course, when people probably got up close to me, they could probably tell that I was drained because I ate so much that my poor body, instead of helping me to sleep, it was processing all of the food and drained from being sick and dehydrated and having just low vibe energy, because you have low vibe energy when you are angry at yourself. You have low vibe energy when you are feeling guilty. You have low vibe energy when you're annoyed at yourself. And people can pick up on that. So that's how it was for me. It was a horrible, dark place to be in. And I know I'm not the only one. Thankfully helping so many people now, which is my passion and my mission to do, I realise that actually so many of us are binge eating. And that's why that 2.8 million is actually not that hard to believe in some ways. A lot of people that suffer with binge eating have emotions of disgust, of guilt, anxiety and depression. And these feelings lead to more binge eating as a way to cope, thus creating a vicious cycle that can be hard to break. So when and where does the mind-body connection come into this? We know that the exact cause of binge eating is unknown. However, there are many factors that can play a part. Biological, psychological, social and cultural are thought to influence the development of binge eating. Biological factors can include hormone irregularities, compulsive eating and food addiction. Psychological factors, on the other hand, have shown a strong correlation between depression and binge eating, as has body dissatisfaction, low self-esteem and developing difficulty in dealing with life's emotions. And the social and cultural factors are an important factor to consider as well, apparently. And this can be from traumatic situations in someone's past, such as history of sexual abuse, and I have helped several women with sexual abuse, and their eating has actually been tied to sexual abuse. And it can go either way, actually. Sometimes people go so thin that they want to disappear. They don't want to be attractive to men after sexual abuse. And sometimes people want to create an extra layer of fat around them to protect themselves. Extra layers of weight so that people won't come near them and they won't be attractive. Which is really sad, because I believe that everyone deserves to be healthy, to be free and to look beautiful. Beautiful is your right. You were born beautiful and you still are beautiful. And being a healthy weight for you and having great energy for you is a way for your beauty to really shine out even more. There are social pressures to be thin, of course, and that comes into the cultural factors. And sometimes the strive for perfection and the dissatisfaction of not getting to perfection can cause people to emotional eat. So now let's look at the various solutions that can be used to replace food obsession and food thinking and food thoughts and the urge to binge eat. The first one is the law of attraction. The law of attraction is known as one of the universal laws. It states that what we think about, we attract. Therefore, by focusing on what we want, we can help bring this into existence. For people with a binge eating issue, it would involve focusing on how you want to feel, how you want your life to look, how you want people to treat you, suggestions on how to keep focused on your end goal, a vision board of images of you looking the way you want to, having fun the way you want to, and doing what you want to, wearing clothes that you want. These are all things on how you can really get into the mind of focusing on what you want. Sometimes I have women or men cut out magazine images of people that they want to look like, the body that they really want, and then to put their head on top. Now it's important to put your head on top, otherwise just looking at other people's images is just going to make you feel, okay, I am not that. But cutting out a magazine article of someone that looks great in the article, like a picture, or any kind of picture of someone who has the body that you want, and then putting your face on top and looking at that, that can be a really positive thing to do. So can images of clothes that you really want to wear if you want to change your shape. For some people that might be losing weight, for some people that might be putting on weight. And then also what can really help is writing out a statement of how you want to feel by stating it as if it's already happened. For example, I am now feeling wonderful when I eat. I am eating healthy and nutritious foods. I'm feeling good about myself and body. I find eating easy and effortless. I only eat when I'm hungry. I eat slowly and calmly. When you say these statements to yourself again and again, they can really penetrate and become real. Repetition really helps to create change, because our mind then starts to believe what we are telling it. And then once our mind believes something, we can become it. The second thing is to focus on your achievements. In order to stop obsessing about food, it's important to have something else to focus on. Something that will make you feel better about yourself in an instant. There are several ideas I'd love to share with you. Firstly, think about getting a notebook and writing down all of your achievements. For example, think about all the times you went outside of your comfort zone, reached a milestone, lost several kilos, went a whole week without binge eating. By simply writing them down and reading them over, it will increase your self-confidence and make you feel better about yourself. You might want to think about buying a real small notebook so that you can keep it on you at all times. Or what a lot of men say to me, I'm not carrying a handbag, Nicola, I'm not carrying a notepad. So they just put it on their phone. There's so many great apps now where you can just type in notes on your phone. So do that. When you think about binge eating, stop and focus on how great you are, how well you are doing, by reading your achievements. It may not always be possible to stop the binge eating, writing these things down and being positive about yourself. However, it can make you feel better, and that can only be a positive thing. And if you want to learn more about how you can really transform your relationship to food and really switch your focus from self-hate to self-love, or self-criticism to self-esteem and self-respect, and when I say self-esteem I mean high self-esteem, then check out my 5-part audio, How to Free Yourself from the Unsatisfying Cycle of Self-Medication with Food and Frustration. It's a 5-part audio, and it's a gift that I'm giving away, and I'll put the link along with this episode. So you might want to check that out. Or if you really feel like, Nicola, I want to speak to you, then don't forget that I do offer a complimentary peaceful eating session. During this peaceful eating session, don't worry, we're not going to be eating together. Oh, that might be quite nice. We are going to be talking about how to clear your barriers. I give it away, and I'm doing that at the moment. I may not always be able to do that, so depending on when you're listening to this, I may have to limit them depending on the demand, because there is only one of me. At the moment, I may get a team later, but I enjoy helping people myself, so yeah, do take advantage of it, and I hope that if you really want it, that it's still available for you. So the third thing you can do is know that another diet is not the answer. There is a good chance that diets can spiral people into binge eating. Strict diets, especially those that revolve around limiting calories, counting out and weighing, measuring food, and completely eliminating foods, food groups or macronutrients, can sometimes only add fuel to binge eating. I know that my binge eating got way out of control when I started dieting. And I wasn't dieting sensibly, I must admit. So if you're following a sensible plan and it's working for you, great. In fact, whatever I share in any of the podcasts, if you have something that's working for you, then listen to that. I'm really here to help you if what you're trying is not working for you. And for me, because I used to take diets to the extreme, because I would go on diets that cut out a lot of things, when I started eating, my body kicked in.